Philippine Institute for Development Studies, we have Dr. Aniceto Orbeta. From the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines, or ULAP, we have Ms. Miriam Padua. From the private organizations, we have from ECOP, Mr. Robert F. Maronilla. We're also waiting for Dr. Alberto Phoenix of PCCI to log in, and we're waiting for DBM and other representatives of DepEd to arrive physically. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Comsec. Thank you very much for your physical participation today. This is our second hearing on the proposed measure, Senate Bill number 2022, or the Batang Magaling Act. And the aim of this bill is to plug the gaps in our senior high school level. And during the first hearing, we have discussed extensively what are the gaps, what are the issues that we need to attend to, and most especially to remind everyone the promises of K to 12, in particular, the senior high school program. Just to make it simple, the senior high school program has two promises. Number one is to be college ready. Number two is to be work ready, among many things, but just to keep it simple. And in fact, in the DepEd Memorandum 76 series of 2016, it went to the extent of 80% hiring or business launching rate within 3 months of graduation for learners under the Tech-Voc or the TVL track. So meaning within 3 months, 80% of our TVL graduates should be hired. It's a tall order, very ambitious for that. But it goes to show that our senior high school program aims to deliver work-ready and college-ready graduates. But I think that is, well, we all agree, that is quite far from the ideal as of today. That's why we propose this Batang Magaling measure precisely to address gaps that we have seen on the ground, as well as based on extensive research by the PIDS. I have to give credit to the PIDS. They generated this, ang kapal nito, Doc, 3 researches on senior high school, one of which is a process evaluation on the implementation of senior high school. We've scoured the internet for researches on researches particularly on the evaluation of the senior high school program, but we didn't find anything. So I have to give credit to PIDS for taking the initiative to analyze and evaluate our senior high school program. This is a package of 3, Doc? There's the other 2 focuses on employability, But today I will use the implementation, because we will talk about the implementation. So in the absence of other research materials, we took the PIDS research as our guiding document and lifted some of the concepts and principles there and included it in the bill. That's why if you look at the bill, a lot of the concepts there were lifted out of this document, as well as also personal experiences. I consulted heavily our teachers, our principals, our students in Valenzuela City. Valenzuela City being an industrial city, we have a lot of factories, a lot of businesses there. And it's to our interest to see that our senior high school graduates are being employed by our local companies. That's the objective. Our local companies will hire them. But again, that is much to be desired. So today we will go into the... today is our second hearing, and we have a lot of unanswered questions, especially on data. And to have a complete and holistic discussion on the senior high school, we need to put on record some basic statistics and basic data, so that we will be guided accurately. So we requested the Department of Education, the Civil Service Commission, the DOF, TESDA, and CHED to particularly share with the committee some important information so that we can use that information to further refine the bill. Admittedly, this bill is a work in progress. In fact, last time, Dr. Phoenix of PCCI pinpointed some issues on the incentives that we need to clarify. And those are the things that we need from our resource persons. What are the things that we need to clarify, refine in order to make the bill effective? No? So, and we sent the DepEd, CSE, DOF, TESDA, and CHED letters to remind them of the information and the data that we requested, and we can discuss those today, no, during the hearing. It's important to discuss that so that it's all part of the records, no. So with that, we will start off with some basic statistics, no, basic data that was absent during the last hearing. Dr. Sullivan mentioned some numbers, but it's important to put that on record, no. So it's important that we update each other so that everyone's on the same plane. And we'll first start off with the Department of Education. Let's start off with some basic statistics, some of the research that you have done insofar as senior high school is concerned. I know that you have created a task force that was shared with us last time, but obviously the task force was created because you saw some issues and problems. No? In the absence of the mobilization of the task force, let's talk about what are the issues that you've seen, and then share with the committee some possibilities on how you will address those issues. So we'll start with basic statistics and then move into some of the pressing issues surrounding the senior high school program. So Mr. Tandingan is the one representing DepEd. I understand Dr. Sullivan is sick, no? He is not available. So I hope you came in ready because he was not ready last time, no? So okay. Hopefully you can enlighten us with some basic statistics on senior high school.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. I'll give you updates on the senior high school basic data. And Ma'am Isabel, my colleague from the department, will also give you the presentation on the tracer study and senior high school updates on other pressing issues and implementation for the screen, the updates on the senior high school. For the senior high school national enrollment for school year 2022-2023, we have around 4,179,644 learners. So it's for all sectors, public, private, including senior SUC, LUC, offering basic education. Then for the public schools, we have, excuse me. For the public schools, we have 2,721,117. Okay, next slide, please. Then, for the private school, 1,406,315. Next slide. Okay. For the SUC, LUC, offering basic education, 50,383. For the Philippine Schools Overseas, or the PSO, 1,829. And we have senior high school per ALS, the Alternative Learning System, 1,348. So, in terms of the per track, for the academics track, we have 2.9 million. For the TBL, we have 1.2 million learners. And sports, 6,674. And for arts and design, 15,269. For the comparative enrollment of the senior high school-based sector, as you can see, the comparison from school year 2021-2022 vis-a-vis the school year 2022-2023, mas mataas na po yung, mas mataas po in terms of, ibig sabihin po from the from the pandemic po, mas dumagdag po ang ating mga learners from public and private. If you compare the school year 2020 to 2021, bumaba po yung mga nasa private schools at lumipat sa public schools. But as you can see, for this school year, mataas na po. Around 354,931 po yung increase natin for the senior high school learners po. For the historical enrollment, next slide. Increasing po ang ating senior high school enrollment except for the school year 2020-2021. Yung sa blue bar po natin ay that's public schools, school learners, senior high school. So increasing din po except increasing po sa private school and PSO ay kung mapapansin nyo the school year 2020-2021 kalaki yung binaba ng mga senior high school kasi nag-transfer po sila sa public schools. But for school year 2021-2022 at hanggang school year 2022-2023, from 3% ay and 15% na po yung percentage share niya to the total enrollment of the basic education ng senior high school. For the next slide, the public, ito naman po naka-disaggregate po sa public sector tsaka private sector. Papansin nyo that still, next slide po. Increasing rin po ang public sector compared to private sector na nung 2020 lang po ay negative 12%. But still increasing ang parehas na both sector except for the school year 2020-2021. Well, yes sir. Well, for the next slide po, it shows po yung grade 12 learners natin in TBL track specialization who took and passed the national certification. This is the school year 2019 to 2020 at saka school year 2020-2021. Overall, we have 97.8%. Mataas po yung percentage of passing who took and passed the national certification po from TESDA. 97.8% ng school year 2019-2020 and for school year 2020-2021 is 97.1%. And in terms of the strand, for the HE, 98.3% out of the 66,605 learners na kumuha, 98.3% po. For the agri-fishery arts, 98.4%. Industrial arts, 97.3% noong 2019. And for the ICT, 96.2%. So hindi po masyado nagkakalayo yung data natin for school year 2019 to 2020-2021. So this is, yung next slide naman po natin is the regional data po ng ating who took and passed the national certification. Almost lahat naman po ng regions ay 90% pataas po. So in terms of the regional regional sector, ito po yung regional level, ito po yung by region po. Then for the number of teachers, next slide. So next slide po. Sige, next slide. Yeah. We have, for the school year 2021-2022, kasi kinokolekta pa rin po natin school year 2022-2023 ngayon for the number of teachers, we have 74,862 senior high school plantilla. Then for next po natin, ito po yung breakdown ng the total na 878,919. So ito lang po yung breakdown from SPED teacher 1 up to instructor 3. Sige po, yung next po. For the teacher-learner ratio naman po, for the senior high school, in the average, 1:34 po yung ating teacher-learner ratio. It shows that the teacher-learner ratio are within the planning standards of the department. Next slide po. Ayan. Okay, next po. In terms of the number of teachers, next, by level of education, this is the breakdown of the 74,860 by region. Yan po yung sa red po yung senior high school number of teachers natin from region 1 up to NCR po. Then for next slide is the teacher-learner ratio by region and level of education. As you can see po dun sa table, on the average po is 1:34, but meron tayong medyo mataas po sa part ng Region 11, 1:40, at saka sa BARM, 1:58. Ang pinakambaba po natin na teacher-learner ratio ay nasa Caraga po and Region 2, with 1:29 po ang kanilang teacher-learner ratio. In terms po for the school building inventory, sige po, next po natin. Sige po, next. Sige pa po. So this is the total number of rooms na kinokolekta po natin sa the school buildings po. For the senior high school po, next. For the instructional rooms, we have 61,839. Next slide po. Ayan. Then for the non-instructional rooms, we have 13,931. So yung regional breakdown po niyan is, ayan po, from 4,300 ng Region 1 up to the NCR 3,085. So pinakamalaki po dyan na number of classrooms ay nasa Region 6 po. Next po, for number of rooms po, the 61,839 po. Ayan po yung regional, but ito yung total. Next slide po. Ayan. That's for the instructional rooms. And next slide. For the non-instructional rooms is 13,931. And yung next slide po natin, the classroom learner ratio is 1:41 po on the average po. Next slide. And next slide po is the regional breakdown po or the classroom learner ratio per region. Mapapansin po natin that still BARM po yung pinakamataas, 1:64, followed by NCR 1:50 po per classroom learner ratio. And the next slide po is the top 10 senior high school with highest enrollment in public. Ito po yung nationwide po. Next slide po. Yan. So from NCR, we have the Parañaque National High School Main with 7,799 up to yung top 10 po natin Tarlac o the Tarlac National High School with 4,322. That's for public. And for the private naman po is in Manila, the Arellano University One Sumulong High School, 12,193, this top 1. And the top 10 is the Quezon City Southeast Asia Institute of Trade and Technology Incorporated with 5,309 learners po. Senator and ladies and gentlemen, ito lang po yung basic data for the senior high school. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Tandingan. Thank you very much for that. No, last time we didn't discuss that at all. Let's go back to the slide wherein the enrollment is going up. I saw that earlier. There's a slide where
Slide 5.
yeah, so you have that.
Sa slide 5. Sa pa.
It's in the group. The first one.
Sa pa po. Next po. Yan po.
Yan. Yan. So, I noticed that enrollment has been surging, since 2017. And I also noticed that the surge in enrollment in public school is not cannibalizing the private schools. In 2022, both increased. Tama?
Yes, sir.
And then if you look at the enrollment, at the peak, the enrollment of private school is at 1.3 million. But right now it's at 1.4. No?
Yes,
so
sir.
it's also increased. So in other words, both public and private increased in enrollment.
Yes,
so
sir.
that's a good sign.
Yes, sir.
No, because there's I'm trying to get my statistics, but I know that there's a big dropout rate by the 10th grade. A lot of our students drop out by 10th grade. They don't
Yes, sir.
proceed to senior high school for obvious reasons. No, a lot of them go to work. A lot of them don't see value with our senior high school program. So, but in this case, I noticed that we're seeing good trends because both public and private schools have increasing enrollment rate. No, do you know the reason why are we increasing? Have you detected anything particular?
Sir, in terms of the increasing number of, included na rin po rito is the balik-aral learner. Meaning to say, sir, marami po rin tayong mga grade 10 learners before na bumabalik na rin po sa education system and continuing their studies po at nag-enroll po sa senior high school. Tapos mas marami rin po yung nag-enroll in terms of the TBL, sir. That's the initial data po na nakita po namin.
I told my staff to look at the school age senior high school. Can you flash that? And we just did it now. No, they just looked at the PSA data, and the participation rate for senior high school. Meaning, if you look at all the 17, ang senior high school 17, 18, correct? If you look at all the population of the 17 and 18-year-olds, and you compare that to our enrollment rate, lumalabas, let's say for 2022, 2023, can you flash it? It's only 68%, no? Although it's increasing the participation rate, but it's still far from the ideal. And maybe Dr. Urbeta can look at this later on. But we have detected also the cohort survival from kindergarten all the way to senior high school is very dismal. No? We'll have another hearing on that. No? Meaning only children who go into school at kindergarten level, only 40% survives. Meaning 60% nagda-drop out sila. No? So the cohort survival from kindergarten to senior high school is only about 40%. No?
It's grade 1 to grade 10, it's 60, so 40% dropout.
Yeah, 40%. Yeah. So late. Yeah. If you look at this participation rate, there are about 6 million 16 to 18-year-olds, assuming that is the senior high school age, but only 4.1 million are in school. So meaning only a 68% participation rate. So we're missing 40%. No, that means about 2 million students within the age 16 to 18 are missing. No? they're not going to school. No, obviously they're probably working or I don't know what they're doing. Some of them probably started early because we have a problem with teenage pregnancies. So a lot of our female students, they drop out and start to own families. But then again, this is a challenge to government. It should be the goal of government to have 100% participation rate. Of course, that will be a challenge, no? But at least make it to at least 90 to 100% participation rate. So even though we have a good trend increasing senior high school, and you can see also the participation rate here is increasing, but it's still a challenge for us to bring this 68% to 100%. No? I just want to flag the department on this matter, no? Because senior high school is really something that will enable our youth to become work ready and college ready. No? So let's take note of that. And then I also took note that I think this is on slide 9. The ones who took up national certification examination. Let's share the. So
Slide 8. Sir.
Yeah. Is that the one? No, the one before that. The one before that.
Slide 8.
Slide 8. Slide 8. Yan. Okay. So again, seems like encouraging numbers, meaning those who took up the national certification, we have a 97.8% passing rate, correct?
Yes, sir. And yung ano po dito is multiple po. In every strand po. Meaning to say, kahit may isang bata po, tapos tatlo po yung kinuha niyang NC is recorded po.
Yeah, but basically meaning if you take up the national examination, national certification, the passing rate is 97.8%.
Yes, sir. That's for school year 2019 and 2020.
Yeah, more or less it's the same. So that's a quite good numbers, no? It's quite encouraging. But the problem is how many are taking. No?
Yeah.
That's the problem. And we also ran some numbers. Actually, they just did it now, no? Can you flash this? Yes, sir. There are about 486 graduates. Yan, 486,000 TVL graduates, but only 127 took the examination, no? Of which 124,000 passed. So the certification rate versus the one who took is about 25%. In 2020, 2021, because that's the latest data that we have, it's about 6%. No? So even though our passing rate is high, which is good, ibig sabihin, those who take up the examination, pumapasa sila, which is good. The problem is they're not taking the examination. I think the problem is not whether they will pass or not, because the statistics will show that they will pass. But the problem is they're not taking the national examination. Why are they not taking the national examination?
Yes, sir. May mga ano rin po kami interviews na kung saan kasi po yung cost po ng pagkuhan po ng national certification.
How much is to take the national examination?
Based po dun sa...
Because this is what I pointed out earlier, dead end sa TVL. Eh. If I'm a TVL graduate, it's dead end for me. You teach me for 2 years, but if I don't take the national examination, I cannot use those skills to apply for a job because they will look for the certification. No? But if cost is the hindrance, no? Not the interest, but cost, then we should already have some figures in mind. No? How much will it take? How much, first of all, how much is the cost of to take a national examination?
Sir, we had a meeting with TESDA this week yata, sir. Pero ang sabi po is depende po dun sa
More or less lang. Let's have some
from
running
200, sir, up to 4,000 plus.
200 pesos?
Opo, up to 4,000 plus.
Tama ba? Andito yung testa. Kung 200 pesos,
Yes, Mr. Chair. We have assessment po na 200 pesos, Mr. Chair, for security services.
so 200 pesos, they can already take the national examination?
Yes, Mr. Chair, for a particular qualification po, yung security services.
Hindi, like for just
but-
on the average lang, para lang may working figure tayo. How much is it if you look at the courses of
Yes.
DepEd, no?
Sa TVL, sir.
TVL. On the average, how much to certify one student? On the average lang, well, para may working figure lang tayo.
Sir, if I can just cite yung sa home economics po, we have an average of 933 pesos and 37 cents. For agri-fishery, that's 752 pesos and 29 cents. And for industrial arts po ay 1,403. For ICT naman po ay aabot po siya ng, ano yan, yung ICT. This is around 600 pesos po, Mr. Chair. Yun po yung average natin per sector, Mr. Chair.
So, umaabot ng, let's say 1,000 pesos?
Yes, sir.
Is that a correct assumption?
Right, sir.
So, how much is it to certify the remaining 75%? No? So, kung meron kang 486,000 students minus 127,000, magkano yun? Times 1,000. Ito pala. So, my staff calculated about 104 million pesos to certify. More or less lang, di ba?
Times 1,000, Mr. Chair, that's around 358,000. 358,482. If
Kano?
Sandali po. 486, 278 minus 127,970. 358,000 po yung katao times 1,000, Mr. Chair. That's 358,308,000.
358 million.
308,000, Mr. Chair.
Sabihin na natin 300, just para may working figure lang tayo, 350 million.
Yes, sir.
More or less, to certify all the remaining. So that's not so much. Magkano budget ng TESDA? 12 billion? 16 billion ngayon?
For the scholarship, Mr. Chair, but for our...
Hindi, lahat-lahat. 16.
16, Mr.
Correct? Magkano ang binabalik nyo sa national government? Alam ko hindi nagagastos yan every year. Magkano binabalik nyo? Nagagastos ba lahat yun?
Wala pa akong figures ngayon, Mr. Chair.
Anyways, but 16 billion versus 358 million is a small amount. If compared to the budget of DepEd, magkano DepEd budget ngayon? 700 billion? 700 billion versus 358 is a really small amount. But you give them hope and you give them certification and you give them a high probability of getting employed. My point of the matter there is, in 358 million na kinumpute natin is an investment. But it's a good investment because if you look at the passing rate, is 97% ang passing rate ninyo. So why not spend that 358 para makuha na nila yung certification nila and pwede na silang mag-apply ng trabaho. Kasi yung problema, yung almost 300,000 walang certificate. And that's one of the main recommendations of PIDS for government to absorb the certification. Kasi dead end ang nangyari sa senior high school natin. But then again, we have some encouraging signs, no? Increasing enrollment, high passing rate. Maganda yun. Mabuti kung mababa yung passing rate natin, then problema pa tayo. Kahit pondohan natin, bagsak rin sila. But in this particular rate, let's show that again, 97% passing rate, which is quite encouraging. No? Meron tayong good signs to work on. So my first proposal, Doc, is for government to shoulder the national examination, national certification. No? Whether TESDA mag-shoulder or DepEd mag-shoulder, doesn't matter. No? It's a small amount compared to the billions that we are getting. And I'll move to include that in the budget this coming year. We don't need a law to do that. Lagyan lang natin ng pondo para Ang next question dyan is saan sila i-exam? But mag-usap na lang kayo ng TESDA on how to do that. No? Kasi we're talking about close to about 450,000 students. No? But that's already administrative. But my point there is, if I'm a student, libre na examination ko, I'll be encouraged to take my certification. And the probability of getting, of passing that is very high. So I think that's one of the things that we can work on this coming budget season. No? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. At the same time, siguro, sir, hindi na siya gagawing optional. If the government will fund the national certification, talagang compulsory na, magiging compulsory for so that the expenses na ilalaan ng gobyerno is that magamit sa lahat. Ibig sabihin, compulsory lahat ng magkukuha ng national certification.
Meron siguro tayong a policy, let's say a one-time exam. Pag one time, government will pay. If you don't pass the second time, you will pay na. Diba? But then again, I'm very confident because mukhang maganda yung ating passing rate. It's just giving them the chance to get the certification. No? And that's one of the recommendation of PIDS. Yun is one of the most important recommendations of PIDS para hindi sila dead end. And I'm very sure if they know that the certification is free, no, yung participation rate natin will improve. More students will be encouraged because instead of going to TESDA, so in TESDA kasi you will, well, libre na ngayon, ano? But the examination may bayad rin, no? So the alternative there, you go to TESDA, libre, but the examination is may bayad. Here in our senior high school, it's free, and the certification is also free. No? So it sends a signal to our constituents that we're very confident with our TVL program. I think that is the important message there. No? How is that something that is? What do you think of that, Dr. Mr. Tandingan?
Yes, sir. Agree po kami doon na mas may encourage po yung mga learners natin to enroll sa senior high school, even kahit sa ALS na senior high school kasi yun nga, pre-op na po yung national certification.
Thank you for that. I know that you will also present your tracer study. Yeah, para before we go deeper into the discussion, I appreciate that DepEd prepared their tracer study presentation. That is a very important study. In fact, we took a look at that. It's probably the first and the only tracer study that was conducted on a national scale. No? So we would like to learn your findings and so that we can come up with policy recommendations. Ms. Victorino?
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Chair, Senator Win, ladies and gentlemen. So let me present to you the results of the National Tracer Study conducted by the Bureau of Curriculum Development of the Department of Education. So this is the first National Tracer Study of the senior high school graduates, which aim to determine the curriculum exits pursued by the first batch of senior high school graduates for school year 2017-2018. It also aimed to explore the considerations they made as well as the issues they faced in their chosen paths. Specifically, this study was guided by the following research questions. Number one, what is the distribution of the senior high school graduates of 2017-2018 across tracks? Number two, what is the distribution of the senior high school graduates based on the curriculum exits? Number three, what are the considerations of the senior high school graduates in selecting their curriculum exits? And number four, what are the issues encountered by our senior high school graduates in the different curriculum exits? So in this National Tracer Study, we made use of this framework wherein we considered the influences like the legal framework of the senior high school program, the socioeconomic context of senior high school students, the nature of and needs of Filipino senior high school students, as well as the senior high school program wherein we have four tracks, the academic, technical-vocational, sports and arts and design track, and of course, the senior high school curriculum exits like higher education, employment, entrepreneurship, and the middle level development skills. So what method did we use? The tracer study employed a mixed methods approach involving both qualitative and quantitative data collection methods. And with this design, the qualitative data are used or were used to assist in explaining and interpreting the quantitative data. So who were our respondents? The participants were senior high school graduates of school year 2017-2018 from public schools based on the Education Management Information System. And the sample size was determined by dividing the country into 4 major areas. And these 4 major areas were Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, and number 4 is the National Capital Region. So this means that we made use of proportionate sampling to determine the number of respondents per major area. So we have here the table. Okay, the table of the respondents to senior high school graduates per major area. So from each of the major areas, a simple random sample of 6 divisions was done, and each division was a representation of each socioeconomic cluster. And this was defined by the Philippine Statistics Authority in 2019. By the way, I also would like to emphasize that this study was conducted from January 20, 1919 to January 20, 2022 po. So we utilized survey questionnaires covering the 5 parts: the profile, questions for those pursuing college education, questions for those employed, questions for those engaged in business or entrepreneurship, and questions for those enrolled in short-term training courses or middle-level skills development, and questions for those not in any of the 4 curriculum exits. Okay, so the next is, of course, we can see here now the findings. The first question was, what is the distribution of the 2017-2018 senior high school graduates across tracks? So in the table, you can see that majority of the respondents, which is 53.30%, took the TVL track, closely followed by the academic track, which is 47.92%. And for respondents who took the TVL track, the highest distributions were seen in the component for home economics, which is 22.29%. In the academic track, the highest proportion of respondents chose gas, which is 21.20%. And less than 1% of the respondents took the arts and design and sports, which is 0.05%. Okay. So here is the distribution. For example, for TVL track, there are 985 respondents, and they are distributed into 4 components of TLE or TVL: home economics, industrial arts, information communication technology, agri-fisheries, maritime specialization. And under the academic track, we have 920. And again divided into gas, which is 407, and then HUMS, respondents for HUMS 203, ABM, which is 192, STEM 117, and the pre-baccalaureate maritime specialization 1. For the other 2 tracks, arts and design 14, and for the sports track 1. Okay. So overall, the top 3 strands with the highest proportion of respondents were TVL, home economics, academics for gas, and TVL industrial arts for TVL for industrial arts. Okay. So what are the factors in selecting their exits or distribution? We can see here the distribution of respondents according to the factors that influence them in choosing their senior high school track. So it is, of course, we have influential factors. Ito po yung personal interest. Gusto po nila a total of 1,418 or 71.83%. Ang sinasabi po nila, they choose the senior high school track because of their personal interest. And then parents or guardian, maybe because of the choice of the parents or guardian, is 281. Also from friends or peers, 194. National career assessment result is 41. Teacher is also an influential factor in choosing the senior high school track, which is 28%. Meron pong others na sumagot, availability of tracks or no other option or track is 7. Other reasons which were not specified by the respondents, 3. There were undecided 1, and because of siblings 1, a total of 1,974 respondents. Okay. So which means that the results reveal that the strongest among the influential factors was personal interest. Of course, followed by parents, then peers, national career assessment examination, and then also the other factors. So may mga sample po questions kami na binigay, specifically in the focus group discussion, like, kaya po ako naggas kasi po yun yung available na track na nandun sa school. Halimbawa po, natulad po dapat STEM yung kukunin ko, napunta po ako sa gas kasi po yun po yung available. So yun po yung mga naging sagot nila. Aside from the survey that we distributed to the respondents, these were also the answers given during the focus group discussion. And now for number 2 research question, what is the distribution of the senior high school graduates based on the curriculum exits? So majority of the respondents, 82.67% of the respondents pursued higher education, while 197 or 10.22% got employed. Only a small proportion of the respondents are engaged in business, and 0.42% in middle-level skills development. So yun po yun. And then the result of this research question was gathered from the survey. So dito po higher education, 1,593, again for employment, 197, business or entrepreneurship, 25, and then middle-level skills or short training course, 8. Okay. Next, number 3, research question. What are the considerations of senior high school graduates in selecting their curriculum exits? So, meron po tayong mga considerations of senior high school graduates in pursuing higher education. 1,593 respondents provided multiple reasons in pursuing higher education, and most of the considerations provided by the respondents are internal to them, which are reflections of their future aspirations. So halimbawa po, for the internal factors, 741 respondents, gusto po nila, they want to obtain a college degree, and then 550 po naman, finding a job. And then, meron pong sumagot, supporting their family, is 243. And then, yung 229, gusto po nila to achieve their dreams. And then, 134, gain or improve additional knowledge. Now, for the external factors, 21 respondents claimed influence daw po ng family. And then 17 responses, values upheld by the family. So halimbawa po siguro may mga business ang family. Ito po 17 po yung sumagot. And then another factor po, external factor is because of the provision for scholarship, which is 2 responses for this. Okay. Ayan. Okay. Ayun. And then, of course, I've already another, as I've said a while ago, in achieving personal goals, it's an internal factor because in choosing the curriculum exit, the senior high school graduates who participated in the FGD said they want to achieve their aspired career or dream jobs as teachers, policemen, engineers, nurses, guidance counselors, chefs, and managers. And to achieve their goals, they decided to pursue higher education. Okay. And then, Next. Next slide. Medyo mahaba. Sorry po. Okay, another study here is the consideration of senior high school graduates not pursuing any of the 4 curriculum exits. So while this study highlights the 4 desired curriculum exits, it is also imperative to recognize that there were 104 respondents did not pursue any of the 4 exits. These senior high school graduates provided multiple reasons. Number 1 po, financial reason is, as I've said, is the most cited concern. Other considerations given were lack of support coming from the family. Another is pregnancy and lack of interest. Yun po yung kanilang mga considerations kung bakit they did not choose any of the 4 curriculum exits. Okay, for research question number 4, what are the issues encountered by the senior high school graduates in the different curriculum exits? So we have here the different issues. Number 1 is the difficulty of subjects taken in college. So parang nakikita na po nila na parang mahirap po ang mga subjects in college. So the participants mentioned that they encountered difficulty in the subjects that they are taking in college, and they attributed it to the lack of preparatory subjects in the senior high school. They also believe that there should have been relevant subjects in senior high school which they could have taken to capacitate them for their courses in higher education. Okay. Another is non-crediting of subjects taken in senior high school. So in a discussion paper, or ang pinopoint out po nila dito is that meron daw misalignment encountered by the participants who went to college, such as non-crediting of senior high school subjects in the requirement for to take bridging courses. And these issues are considered, and they took note of how HEIs capacitate their students to deliver the expected skills in the subjects they take. Okay. Another is the travel-related concern. Those who decided to pursue or not to pursue a college degree was the distance of their respective schools from their homes. Okay, some concerns are related to travel time and security during travel. So yun po sinabi nila. Okay. And then there are also issues encountered by senior high school graduates in employment exit. So one of the main goals of the K-12 program is to make its graduates ready for employment. However, the reality faced by the first batch of senior high school graduates suggests that more should be done to ensure the achievement of this goal. And for one, there is an evident preference among employers. Sabi po nila, there is an evident preference among employers to hire college graduates, and the participants lamented that when they attended job fair, so yun po sinabi nila, when they attended the job fair, their applications were not considered since many companies in that job fair were looking for college graduates. Okay. And then meron din po tayong issues encountered by senior high school graduates in business or entrepreneurship exit. So the K-12 program also promises to prepare students to become entrepreneurs. From the pool of respondents, the business or entrepreneurship exit was a less popular choice compared with employment and higher education exits. And among those who chose this exit, the issues that were related has to do with handling customers as well as budgeting business experiences. Okay, so meron pa silang sagot. Actually po, sabi po nila, marami pong halos magka-age namin mga kabataan na halos patok ang online selling. Kaya lang po, hindi po madali ang magpag-usap sa kanila. Kasi po, may mga customer po na gusto ganito, gusto ganyan. Tapos o-order po siya, ma'am, tapos biglang ika-cancel. Kaya nadi-discourage po sila to pursue or to engage in business. Okay. And then another, sa pag-budget ng pera, kasi minsan kasi masasyak ka na lang, hala, nasaan na yung perang kailangan? Hindi po namamalayan kasi minsan nakukuhanan ko po kasi kulang. Okay. I am having difficulty with budgeting. I sometimes shock because there is more okay, yun po, nakukulangan daw. And then issues encountered by senior high school graduates in middle level skills. Similar to those who decided to pursue college degree, some respondents who took the middle level skills training exit had issues with misalignment of their senior high school track with TESDA course. For instance, one of the respondents who took GAS in senior high school decided to pursue a training course in masonry, and in addition, the respondents commented that their senior high school training should have prepared them for their skills training in TESDA. Okay, so yun po yung kanilang mga sagot, yung mga findings doon sa 4 questions that we gave. And then we were able to give recommendations for this. So because majority of the senior high school students are interested in the TVL track, the DepEd can develop a policy to strengthen the alignment of TVL curriculum with the 4 curriculum exits. Develop a core curriculum standards for entrepreneurship to be reflected in all TVL curricula. Coordinate with TESDA to avoid duplication of middle-level skills competencies in the different areas. Monitor the implementation of the work immersion program. So a significant number of senior high school graduates choose to pursue higher education. Thus, a national assessment to evaluate the readiness and competencies of our students for the demands of a college education, which should be developed. Okay. And since 10% of the senior high school graduates choose to pursue work after their graduation, the DepEd should coordinate with DOLE to ensure that senior high school graduates, especially those below 18 years old, are protected from unfair labor practices. And since 5.39% of the graduates did not pursue any of the 4 curriculum exits, school guidance program should be strengthened. Local schools, especially the school guidance counselors, should continue to coordinate with CHED, TESDA, higher education institutions, and other companies to develop a career orientation program for senior high school students for them to have a clearer idea of the curriculum exit they should pursue. Okay, and finally, there is a need to evaluate the implementation of the senior high school curriculum to examine the gap between the intended and implemented curriculum, and the curriculum content must also be aligned with the curriculum exits. So, which means that this is to make sure that the 4 curriculum exits are reflected in the curriculum standards and competencies. That's all po, and marami pong salamat.
Thank you, Ms. Victorino, for that very enlightening presentation that was actually missing during the first hearing, and I truly appreciate your team for sharing with us a snapshot of the tracer study. Can you just submit to us the full tracer study so we can also study it ourselves? But the presentation gave us already a flavor of what our senior high school students are encountering, no? And hopefully you can do this on a regular basis. I believe this is only one, no? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Mr. Chair, but we have plans. Actually, we have included in our work in financial plan another tracer study from 2018 to present.
Yeah, because it's good to implement this on a regular basis, yes, because you see, yes, the results of your recommendations, whether they are being implemented or not, no? And for us also policymakers, it also gives us some idea, no, on what legislation to propose, what policies we can recommend in order to address the gaps that our senior high school students are experiencing. At the end of the day, we're doing this so that our senior high school graduates will be productive, whether they go to college, they go to work, no, using their TVL knowledge, they're productive. That's what we want, no? And it's important to hear their voices.